Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Satchitananda Rupa, Satchitananda We're going to the clinic for vaccine and flea medicine and to get this little one adopted. Yeah, left, correct.
Yeah.
You know it?
I know.
Hi, I'm Jen from Ashtanga Dispatch, and I'm here studying with my teacher David Garrig, and I stumbled across this great organization that's helping the street dogs here. So I started becoming interested in it because there's this great little dog that lives on my street, and we've been hanging out a lot, and I've been feeding her, and I wanted to try to get her vaccinated and set up so she could be healthy after I left. And that's how I found Mary in this organization, and they're doing such awesome work here. They are sterilizing dogs, they're vaccinating dogs, they're feeding dogs. I actually got to go out on a puppy mission with them. I was in the back of this puppy paddy wagon, and we went around collecting dogs for sterilization. It was a really fun adventure. I'd never done anything like that before. David, what made you decide to support this program?
Well, for one, the stray dogs attached themselves to us, and that was unbelievable how loving they are and wonderful, and then how much need there is. There's just stray dogs everywhere and with all kinds of problems, and there's these people helping and doing it in a big way and providing a service that's so needed.
What is the ABC program?
Well, it's the animal birth control, and the idea is that you collect the dogs from the streets, you sterilise them, you vaccinate them against rabies at the same time, and then you put them back. And because they're back in their territory, they keep other dogs from coming in. So you do a section at a time, that's the idea.
And Mary, how many dogs do you yourself have?
79 at the last count, plus 3 cats and 1 husband.
So these donations that you're raising, what does the money cover?
Well, we're trying to raise enough really to keep the centre running for a full year.
Little goes a long way here. With $10, she's able to vaccinate 30 dogs against rabies. With $20, she can sterilize 1 dog. And every dog that she gets her hands on is going to live a better life because of it. What made you fall in love with these dogs and start this program?
Well, just look at them. How could you not?
Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Sitaram Hanuman Baba.
Satchitananda.
She needs people like you to help us in all kinds of ways. That's why we're trying to raise funds. So have a look and see if you can help us.
Daydreamer, sitting on the sea, soaking up the sun. He is a real lover of making up the past, feeling up his girl like he's never felt a figure before. A jaw dropper.
I discovered Street Dog Watch this time, well, last year, December last year, and became very interested in what they were doing. Very enthusiastic about what they were doing. They were a small group of people that have given up everything to help the street dogs for India, and I'm very passionate about India. I love India.
You can find him sitting on your doorstep, waiting.
satisfaction seeing a dog being come through a really bad illness and get it back to health. Put him back to the place that you picked him up from. And he's wagging his tail, doing a wee, and running away. There's nothing better than that.
Daydreamer with eyes that make you melt. He lends his coat for shelter.
They're working very hard to raise funding now to get more vets involved, do more sterilisations, more castrations, save puppies, cure sick dogs, and then this programme we just completed to inject dogs for rabies, to stop rabies spreading through an area which is the biggest fear of the Indian people.
There's no way out.
Now you've seen what we do and how much fun we have and how much action there is, maybe you want to join us. So click on the link, donate to us first of all, and then maybe come and join us, who knows.
What if I told you we could eliminate one of the oldest diseases known to humankind? A disease that still kills a person every 9 minutes. We can prevent rabies by vaccinating dogs, by washing dog bite wounds thoroughly with soap and water, and by immediately seeking medical care after a dog bite. No child should die of rabies or be orphaned by the disease. No family should suffer from rabies. To end human deaths from rabies, our time to act is now.
say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin? For I can't help falling in love with you.
I'm Mary Muscroft, and 10 years ago I came to Kerala. The reason that came about was me and Steve, my husband, we used to go on holiday to Goa quite a lot, but we got a bit fed up with Goa. So a friend of mine said, oh, why don't you try Kerala? So before we went to Kerala, we did a little bit of research, and we found that there was opportunities for helping out the local animal sanctuary, because we both love dogs. So we booked a 2-week package holiday to Kerala. And we enjoyed it. We did a little bit of help in the animal sanctuary, and while we were there we met 2 puppies, and we decided that we couldn't leave after 2 weeks and leave the 2 puppies there, so we adopted them. And then obviously we couldn't go back on the return flight, so we stayed in Kerala. That was 10 years ago. So what really started it all off was us falling in love with a couple of puppies that we met one day. The one in particular that we now call Chitty, she used to kind of follow your feet as you walked about, and she'd go anywhere with you. She'd just follow your feet. And, you know, she didn't care whether there were bigger dogs there or other people there. She was just intent on following our feet. Mainly Steve, I have to say, but also me. And Steve and I both said we can't leave her, you know, we'll have to take her back. And obviously you can't take 1 puppy, you need 2 because they need a friend. So we took also another dog called Lexi. Unfortunately, Lexi passed away a few years ago. She had a lot of complications, but Chitty is still with us, and she's grown into quite a big fat dog. She's quite lazy, but she's 10 years old now, and she's always had quite a happy life. She lays around on the sofa, and she seems to think she's in charge of everybody, including me and Steve. After that, the animal sanctuary where we got them from was actually in the process of closing down. So we also adopted another 4 puppies from the same place. And so we had 6. So we stayed for a while, we looked after them, and then gradually people started to notice that we were looking after dogs. So they started to kind of bring them to us. We had a plastic bag hanging on the gate with 6 puppies, eyes still closed, so only maybe 10 days old. So we hand-reared them, we fed them and everything, and they all grew up to be healthy. And then we thought we can't keep doing this, so we tried to find homes for them. And we did find homes for a couple of them. We've still got 4 of them now. They're 10 years old. And after that, it just kind of escalated, where people would put dogs over our gate, tie them to our gate, hang them on the gate, even ring us up and say, we've got these puppies, can you help? And that's how it started. In the end, we ended up with about, I think, 40 to 50 dogs that we'd rescued. Most of them started off with an injury or started off as puppies. So we got them all sterilised, we got them all vaccinated, out of our own pocket, of course. And then we decided we needed a bigger place, so we moved house. I don't think this is a decision most people would actually make, and we never really planned it. We never made a decision to go to India and look after hundreds of dogs. That wasn't the way it happened. It happened because we fell in love with a couple of dogs, and we wanted to do some good in the country that we're living in. And it kind of grew from there. Nothing was planned. And so, you know, when you go to a developing country and you see people without a roof over their head or without shoes on their feet or without enough to eat, you think, well, actually, you know, we're quite lucky. Although people think it's a big hardship, you know, that we're looking after all these dogs and stuff, We've got roof over our head, we've got food, we've got clothes, we've got good friends, good family, and we've got 93 friends living in our house as well. So it's quite a good life. I mean, a lot of people here dream of going abroad and working or doing whatever they want to do, but it's a very different thing going the other way, if you like. So we've come from quite a well-off country to a developing country, but we're still happy. You know, we live a more basic life, I suppose. But you certainly feel alive every day when you're in India, because you have to, you have to get up and you have to do things. If I was in England now, I think you could very easily stagnate. You could very easily sit in your armchair watching the telly and drinking tea and eating cake. But because I'm here doing what I'm doing, it kind of keeps you going a little bit, I think. And we also decided that we couldn't continue to just keep taking them in, and not do anything about the underlying problem, which was the population explosion. So that's when we started Street Dog Watch, which started in 2013. So we'd been here for 5 years at that point, and we collected, I think, around 50 or 60 dogs at that time. So we started Street Dog Watch. We got a rented property. We got in touch with a doctor who helped us out. We got all the equipment, and we started sterilising dogs. People, we had a dog catcher. He'd go out, catch the dogs, bring them back. We sterilised them, and then once they're vaccinated and sterilised, we put them back on the street. And we also tried alongside that to encourage the local community to understand what ABC, animal birth control, was, so that they realised why we were putting the dogs back. Because one of the big problems we had was collecting the dogs was fine, but when we tried to put them back, the people were, oh, why are you putting them back? But what they didn't understand was that if you just take the dogs away, more dogs will just come into that area. So you have to put the dogs back, and then they keep that area for themselves. And so you're maintaining a core of dogs which are vaccinated and sterilised, so they're not going to produce more puppies, and they're also going to be disease-free. So we started that in 2013, and we also started doing surveys on the beach to see how many beach dogs there were, because we were doing a lot of work on the beach. 2013 there were 633 dogs. The following year there were 400. The following year around 200. And this last year, where we did the survey, it was less than 100. So we've kind of proved that over time it works. It does take time. It takes at least 5 years to make a real difference. You have to keep doing it, of course, because people keep throwing their dogs out in the street. So you have to keep sterilising, you have to keep vaccinating, which is what we're trying to do. But of course it costs money. So at the moment we're trying to fundraise in order to keep doing it, because you have to keep doing it. There's so many stray dogs. You have to do it in every area. We're just doing a very small area, and we're trying to encourage other people in other areas to set up something similar. That's our next kind of job. We do vaccination drives as well. We go out and we catch as many dogs as possible, vaccinate them against rabies. We also do educational programs in schools where we go and talk to the children and or orphanages or colleges and explain to them what the ABC program is, because although there's certain other organisations and government authorities are doing ABC, they don't tell anybody really what it is, so people don't understand it. Now we have locals coming to us and asking us to sterilise their dogs as well, so the message is kind of getting through. We do rescues, of course. If there's an injured or a sick dog, we'll take the dog in. And that's Steve, and he, tends to stay at home most of the time really and look after the dogs while I'm out singing, because I sing in a local hotel, the Taj, Green Cove, and I sing there twice a week, and it brings a bit of income to keep feeding the dogs, because that's a big expense as well. And also we do fundraisers where we go down to a local bar or restaurant or a hotel, and we try to raise money for the dogs with all the local expats that are living here who support us a lot. I mean, a lot of them sponsor dogs monthly. They spread the word about what we're doing. They spread out, our Facebook posts and stuff like that. and they also join in. You know, some of them want to be singers or want to be dancers, so they do their little bit at the fundraisers. And obviously we've got the support of our families as well back in England. They spread the word about what we're doing, and we've got a lot of local support now as well.
But the sterilisation programme that Mary and Steve have got going, they've reduced the dogs on the street dramatically, and it's helping the people of Coverland.
Some people believe that we have quite an idyllic kind of life, really, you know, sitting in the sun under a palm tree with a cocktail or something. It can be like that occasionally, but generally, because we've got involved with so many dogs and so many rescues, and we generally don't do that very often. And it's also difficult because, of course, we can't both go out together all the time. We have to get someone to stay at the house when we both go out together. Otherwise, Steve goes out, I stay in, I go out, he stays in. We can only go out together when we have somebody staying, and the guys who work at the clinic, they will do that for us. We call it babysitting. So they'll sit in the house while we go out for a few hours at a time. But you know, if anybody else is thinking of doing something like this, it's not all, you know, there's nothing glamorous about it at all. You're generally dirty, you're generally picking up rubbish all the time and waste and stuff. And you don't have a lot of time for yourself because, of course, people are ringing at all different times with rescues. And you never know when they're going to ring, you never know what's going to happen, where you're going to have to go, pick up a dog, treat it, etc. So, you know, it's not easy, but I'm not saying I regret it, because you know it's saved a lot of dogs' lives, and it's helped the community, I think, where we are, because of reducing rabies and reducing the number of dogs.
All my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door, and I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. But the dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting, blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me, and hold me like you'll never, never let me go. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane, I don't know if I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. So many times I let you down, so many times I played around, but they'll tell you now they don't mean a thing. 'Cause every place I go I think of you, every song I sing I'll sing for you. When I come back I'll wear your wedding ring. Oh, kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me, and hold me like you'll never let me go.
And we get a lot of people ringing us up now and saying, oh, I'd like to do something in my area similar to what you're doing. So we're now trying to kind of promote this approach, rather than setting up a big shelter where you just keep collecting dogs, which is what we did at first, I suppose, and that was a mistake. What we should have done is attack the root of the problem, which is the ABC programme. So anybody thinking of doing it should think about what the root of the problem is with the dogs, and do that first. Shelters are great, you need them for certain, you know, for certain circumstances, but just filling up and taking dogs in just doesn't work, because you can't keep doing it. There's always another one around the corner, so you have to think about the bigger picture, if you like. A lot of tourists come on holiday as well, and they fall in love with a puppy just as we did, and they want to take it back to Europe or wherever they live. And it's not quite as simple as it sounds. It costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, a lot of effort on their part. You have to really be here for at least 3 months to make it viable. And I always kind of put people off doing that, because the amount of money, time and effort they're putting into taking one puppy back to the West, they could sterilise hundreds and hundreds of dogs and really save a lot more lives doing it that way. So that's what we advise people now.
Mary and I met when I was out with some football chums in the veterans team that I used to play for, and we walked into the pub and Mary was there and we started playing pool. I think, because I have not had a drink, I've just had a game of football, I think that I won, and this has been a problem in our relationship because we can't come to a decision on who exactly did win, but I'm sure it's me. And if there's anybody who was there the night we met, I'd like to let me know.
Well, you did win because you got me.
Yes. I actually told Mary I was a pilot.
Yeah, that wasn't real. Well, we knew that wasn't true.
I told her I was a pilot and she fell for it.
I didn't.
And that is how we met. I didn't also tell her that I was a dog lover and that in 25 years' time we will probably have 94 dogs as a family and living in India. Mary and I have probably one of the strongest relationships that I have ever come across. So I'll go as far as to say one of the strongest relationships in the world. We met 20 odd years ago. She was wrong about the pool result. I actually won. She tells everybody that to embarrass me. But genuinely, I did find my soulmate when I saw her. I mean, she's stunning looking, and as soon as I saw her, I just knew there was something there between us. Now, what's happened in the rest of our life, it hasn't been planned, it's just happened. But the biggest thing I think we've both got is a kind heart. And what we are doing, I don't think the word passion is perhaps the right word. We consider it our duty. Because now, if we see a dog that is injured, we feel it's our duty to help that creature. Not only dogs, cats as well. We've always helped. We've helped neighbours in the past when we lived in England. When we went to Spain to live, we tried to help there. We're just compassionate people. We've both been fortunate. We've got a good life, and it is a good life. We're amongst people here. It could have been India, it could have been Spain, it could have been wherever. But for some reason, we finished up here looking after animals. I don't see it as a job, it's a life. And yes, I've made lots of sacrifices in the way that Mary has. But the thing is, between us both, and I have bad times, I've never cried as much since I've been in India. For 40, 50 years, I never cried. I cry probably once a week, sometimes twice a week. We've had a little puppy die today. I've been in tears. And it doesn't get any easier. That's the problem. It does not get any easier. Even though I'm getting older, my hearing's going, my eyesight's going, my mind's going, it does not get any easier, but I cannot stop doing it. I like to go to the puppy house because I feel I am giving them puppies a better life than what they would have roaming the streets. I don't go to the clinic that often because I feel guilty when I go to the clinic about how I cannot give them a better life, whether they are dying, whether they need euthanizing, whether they've come in with maggot wounds. I'd like to bring them all here. I think Mary said earlier I would have 300 dogs. I really would. And it's me that has to do a lot of the work because I'm not very clever, I'm not very bright, I'm not very computer literate. So Mary does all the paperwork and I do what we affectionately call in England the donkey work. And that is basically what I do. But I'm very, very fortunate that the woman I'm spending my life with is the woman that I love. And she is such a kind heart and such a talent as well. She must have done approximately 150 to 200 gigs here, whether it be singing at the Taj, fundraisers. In 10 years, I've probably seen her no more than 4 times. That is a sacrifice I am making because I stay at home and look after the dogs. Mary enjoys the singing, she enjoys going out with her friends, and she deserves some happiness and some enjoyment. So when she's singing, she seems happy and people enjoy it. So that is what she does. And I have no complaints whatsoever about sitting here with a beer, watching the football. It's a man thing. But we are the best of mates and we've been the best of mates for many, many, many years. One of my few pleasures actually getting out, besides going out with Mary to meet friends for a drink, is visiting the puppy house. Now the puppy house, I think there's approximately 30 dogs there, of which I personally have rescued at least a dozen, and I've known them for years, absolute years. I've got lots of favourites up there. What I tend to do is I tend to leave about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll ring my old favourite Babu, the rickshaw driver, and he'll come and I'll say, "Puppy house, Babu." And on the way, he stops automatically at a local shop where I will buy 20 packets of tiger biscuits or some egg puffs, and then we'll go to the puppy house, and then I'm in heaven. It's absolutely fantastic. And I'm embarrassed to say, they're actually better behaved than my dogs. It takes literally 2 minutes there and they've all settled down. When we get visitors here, it can take hours before my lot settle down. But I love going there. If I could, I'd show you the dogs that I've rescued. I've rescued them that have been on a chain and badly looked after. I've rescued them after an incident. I've taken them off of people because they've not been looking after them as puppies. I give them all names, but unfortunately, whilst they've been living at the clinic, some of the names have been changed for some reason. So I know one particular dog as Timmy, and when I ask how Timmy is, nobody knows because they've changed his name to Jimmy. I don't know why. It's an Indian thing, it must be. But the puppy clinic, they're all well behaved. I feel sorry for these dogs because really they all deserve homes because they are well behaved, but they've not been given a chance. And they all deserved a chance. There's not a bad one amongst them. At my lot, there is the occasional bad dog here. My father that gave me the love of animals. Now, one of the biggest regrets of living in India when all my family's based in England is obviously I cannot see them as much as I want to. I do speak to them 2 or 3 times a week, and when I go back to England on what I call a visa run, which is every 5 years because the Indian government thankfully grant me a 5-year visa. So obviously being away from my parents who are quite elderly now. My father's 82, my mother is 80. Unfortunately my mother went blind about 15 years ago. I miss them. Plus I have two great brothers. One of them, Colin, he's actually been over to India. He's been over 2 or 3 times. He loves the life over here. Gets a motorbike, gets his shirt off, gets his crash helmet off, and he's off for literally 2 weeks visiting. The only problem of being over in India is missing my family. Obviously, Yorkshire delicacies like fish and chips, a pint of decent beer are other things I miss. But saying that, I think I'm as happy as I could have ever wished for.
Yeah, so I would say to people generally, men, women, doesn't matter. If you are passionate about something, go for it. You know, we decided to, I mean, deciding just to leave England is quite a big step for a lot of people, or just to leave the country that you've lived in all your life. But we decided to do it. We didn't really have a plan, I have to say. But then when we found these 2 puppies, we decided that we had to do something. We were in a foreign country, it's a very different culture, everything's different, the language is almost, it's impossible for me to speak, it's very impossible for Steve to speak. But if you're committed enough and passionate enough and you really want to make a difference to the place that you're in or the people that you're with, I think anyone can do it. Whether you're a woman on your own, whether you're married, whether you've got children, whether you're a man on your own, it doesn't matter really who you are or what you are. People may turn you down, people may say you're stupid, people may say you're mad. People have said all those things to me. But you know, it's